For this lesson, you're going to learn about exponents, but first we're going to do a few review exercises. The directions say solve each of the following. First, I want you to pause the video and try these on your own, and then you can play the video to check your answers. Number 1, 8 plus a negative 6. So since you have a positive and a negative number, you're going to subtract the two numbers. 8 minus 6 is 2, and take the sign of the bigger number, which is positive, so positive 2. Number 2, the absolute value of negative 8 is the distance that negative 8 is from 0. So that's going to be 8. Number 3, negative 9 minus a negative 1. So I'm going to do click, click. So now we have negative 9 plus 1. So I'm going to subtract. 9 minus 1 is 8. Take the sign of the bigger number, which is 9, which is negative. So negative 8. Number 4, negative 8 divided by 0. You can also see it like this, negative 8 over 0, and that's not possible, so your answer is going to be undefined. Number 5, 5 divided by a negative 5 is a negative 1. And number 6, we have a negative and then the absolute value of 2. Well, the absolute value of 2 is the distance 2 is from 0, which is 2. And then since we have a negative in the front, our answer is going to be negative 2. So we're going to look at exponents today, and actually what we normally think of as an exponent is actually called a power. And a power has two parts, a base and an exponent. The base is the bigger number, and the exponent is the little number at the top right corner. So our first example, if you're looking at that, it says write using exponential notation. And what the base is when we write our answer is the number being multiplied by itself. So if we look at number 1, we have 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. So our base number is going to be 6, and then the number of times the base is being multiplied is 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's our exponent. So we're going to write this as 6 to the 4th power. Number 2, the number being multiplied by itself is negative 5. So I'm going to do negative 5. And then how many times is it being multiplied? Well, it's being multiplied 3 times, so that's going to be our exponent. Do you see how I kept the answer in parentheses? If you're multiplying negative 5 by itself, you have to put the parentheses around it to show that you're multiplying the negative 5 by itself and not just 5. Okay, let's look at number 3 and 4. The directions say write each using repeated multiplication. These are actually going to use the same rules as the first two examples, so we're actually just doing the opposite this time. So number 3 is 2 to the 4th, so that means I'm taking the number 2, which is my base number, and I'm going to multiply it by itself 4 times because the exponent says multiply by itself 4 times. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Number 4, we have negative 5 to the 4th power. That means I'm going to take negative 5 and I'm going to multiply it by itself 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and one more is 4. Now looking at 5, 6, and 7, my one hint to you guys would be to write out the power using repeated multiplication first and then solve the problem. So for number 5, negative 2 to the 3rd power, also known as negative 2 cubed, means negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2. So if we think about that, negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4, and then 4 times a negative 2 is a negative 8. 6 is 4 squared, and 4 squared means 4 times 4, and 4 times 4 is 16. And then number 7, the last one. Now this is where it's important that we're looking, is that negative inside of the parentheses or is it outside of the parentheses? And since the negative is outside of the parentheses, this means that it's 7 times 7, and in the front we have a negative, or you could think of this as a negative 1. So we're really multiplying negative 1 times 7 times 7. So if we take negative 1 times 7, that's negative 7, times 7 is negative 49. So your answer is negative 49. So make sure you're being careful and looking at whether that negative is inside of the parentheses or outside of the parentheses, because it really does make a difference.